Watch it in your refrigerator. Salad freaks beware. Bagged spinach, one of the great breakthroughs in modern packaging in agriculture, is being suspected as a source for an E. coli outbreak across the country. 9 states, 50 people struck. One of them has died. So it apparently is involved with... What happens is there's heavy rains or flooding, and the water from the nearby cattle feed pens washes down onto the agricultural land, where it goes into the soil, is picked up by the roots of the spinach, and is imbued into the leaves themselves. So it doesn't do you any good to wash the stuff. But apparently that's what's happening. They haven't been able to identify the source of this as yet. It's been going on since August, but they just put it together as a single outbreak of E. coli, something or other, 271 or whatever. The thing is that at the moment, nationally distributed, bagged spinach should be tossed right now. And considering you're all in California anyway, you ought to be growing it at least in window boxes for yourself. It's much better. In other news of note, the Republicans of veteran status to some degree have turned George W. on the question of tribunals and how to handle detainees, etc., etc. At issue the question of whether or not the Geneva Convention's Article 3 was going to be, quote, clarified by American determination that somehow or other the CIA could do things to detainees that nobody else could do. That was rejected by the Republicans in the committee, and in fact it was led by McCain, who had been a subject of torture when he was in Hanoi, and Senator Warner, who's a World War II vet, and a decorated vet, in fact, and former Secretary of the Navy, and what's his name, from Lindsey Graham, who's a former Attorney General, right, the military JAG units. So these guys know what they're talking about. They turned the tide. The bill that will come through there will be questionable for the president. He will answer that question, interestingly enough, at 8:15 this morning, where he has suddenly called an unexpected press conference. Can't go on too long. It's in the Rose Garden, and I think it's raining in Washington. Other news of note, let's see, that contracting database, man, this is an important one. Barack Obama, the senator from Illinois, and a couple of other people put forth a bipartisan bill that will put all of the government contract information, who's got the cleanup contract for New Orleans, who's got the contract to do the laundry in Djibouti, those sorts of things. The answer in both of those cases, by the way, is Halliburton and or its affiliates. But the issue here is going to be the creation of a database that will be public access for all of the contracts that the government is letting out. Who's making the shells, who's making the airplanes, et cetera, et cetera. Really good thing. The bill was ready to sail through, and then Ted Stevens of Alaska put a hold on it because the guy who put together the bill is the same one who knocked out Stevens' favorite pork barrel project, the Bridge to Nowhere, from the Alaska budget. Even though they got the money, they just didn't get it for the bridge. So that kind of thing is going on Capitol Hill. Other news, the House is going to pass a bill today authorizing the building of a 700-mile border fence. But the bill only authorizes it. There is no money in the bill to build even 1 mile of fence. One of those gestures that are so common in legislative sessions just before an election, you know what I mean? In Mexico, things are coming somewhat unglued. Today is the Mexican Independence Day. You thought it was a Cinco de Mayo? No. Today is the day officially that is Independence Day, and Presidente Fox has canceled the celebrations in downtown District Federal, the capital, in the face of the fact that the streets and most of the parks and every place else in District Federal are now and have been for the last 2 months occupied by supporters of Mr. Obrador, who is the labor left candidate who many believe had the election stolen from him in a manner not dissimilar to Florida, but that's another story. Either way, the District Federal will not have an official Independence Day celebration, but it will have a party because Obrador and his supporters have vowed to have a massive Independence Day protest of the election and general fiesta of some sort. Could get hot. Meanwhile, word is that Oaxaca, the city of Oaxaca, has had all federal troops and police withdrawn. The people in Oaxaca had seized first the media, then they seized state buildings and local stuff. Apparently they are in general uprising in Oaxaca state, and the federales have had to pull out rather than face the prospect of firing on the civilian population. Things are cooking below the border, friends. Anyway, that plus the ongoing conference just getting started down in Cuba, where the non-aligned nations are getting ready to say nasty things about Uncle Sam. Oh, it's a hard day in the news. And that's enough news for now. I'm Travis T. Hipp on the Pig on the Radio on a Friday. Stay tuned.